Hello everyone, welcome back again to Spiritual Growth Tarot and Astrology, and I have your weekly astrological transits we're going to be going from Sunday, July 2nd through Saturday, July the 8th, with a happy 4th of July in there if you celebrate, happy Independence Day if you're in USA, but in my other countries, wishing you so much love no matter where you are. And also this week we have the full moon in Capricorn coming in, about 11 degrees of Capricorn. So anyway, let me swap out cameras here and bring you over the table. Hold on one moment. Okay, so before I get into this week, let me just speak a few minutes about a few minutes regarding the long-term backdrop that we are sitting in. So, of course, we have Pluto up here squaring the nodes, and this will last through December 7th. That brings in issues of power and how we are managing our power. I tend to believe that all of life really is a power management issue for us humans. And so if we can align our power with our inner beings, if we can come from the core consciousness, the core light, the core star, as Barbara Brennan used to call it when she was alive, and it's still alive and well in her books. Let's see, what else? How else could we? Just the core of all the love, power, and peace that you are. The more we're in that, the more everything else becomes, I don't know, what's the word? Just less important. It just doesn't matter as much. When you're coming from your inner integrity, which is aligned with love, aligned with all the laws of love, the forces of love, that becomes the most important thing in your life, because once you get there, there's no going back without it being really painful. So it's okay, we can go in and out of it, but the backdrop is we're finding the best ways to use our power. And that's especially reinforced with Eris here, which is also in this mix. And the nodes, so it takes such a long time. It's like, I think it's 556 years for her to get around the zodiac. I have to find the date for when she moves into Taurus, but the north nodes, or the nodal axis of the moon travels backwards, so it's headed this way. So this right here, even though it looks like it's about 6 degrees away, it's really not. It's more like 5, and because this is moving this way. In fact, it'll be July 17th when the nodal axis changes from Taurus to Scorpio. And that will make a big shift, because it's going to fall back into Aries and Libra. Taurus and Scorpio had brought up our values and our transformation that we've gone through all this time. Remember, because the nodes started at 29 degrees Taurus and 29 degrees Scorpio. They moved backwards, so now we're moving to that 1 degree place, 0 degree place. And that's coming in this month, all right? So when that happens, the focus will change. It's not going to be so much my values and my resources, or in political spheres, money scandals, sex scandals, crisis for the dirty politicians. I'm speaking to Pluto and Capricorn up here as well, squaring the nodes. What's going to shift will be, instead of coming from mine and theirs, or mine and my resources, my personal reality, and the resources that are available to me. When I say me, I'm speaking we. What's going to happen is it's going to shift into Aries and Libra, and Aries is like, oh, I have a new eyeball for this, because it'll be at that 29th, that anaretic degree of Aries. And Aries rules the eyes. It's ruled by Mars. It rules the head, and we are going to be charging forward. And there will be decisions as to, because with the South Node moving into that anaretic degree of Libra, and I'll do a separate video probably on that, maybe through the houses, so that you guys can settle into that, because it'll last a year and a half. The nodal axis changes every year and a half, so it's going to suddenly go from me and them. In Aries and Libra, it'll be me and them. So we're going to be seeing people take a stand. It's going to be the time for us, if you haven't already, taking a stand as to which side are you going to choose. Now, you can always stand in the middle, choosing the laws of love, which means you stand here for love, but you're still going to love the ones that are the ones that are just basically floundering and trying to find their way. I heard on the news this morning, I'm doing this on the Thursday before this Sunday, but I heard on the news this morning that Pence had taken a stand as to where he stands with Biden versus Trump, things like that. So he's trying to grow a new spine. He's doing a little bit better. But anyway, that's just one little thing. We're going to see more. We're going to see people, when it comes to Jack Smith and his investigations, and the DOJ, Merrick Garland, all those investigations, they are working their way closely to the top. When I always knew when they got to Rudy, then next comes the top, and we know who's at the top. So we can expect things to heighten, and that tension field here is getting stronger. And so news dumps and surprises probably won't be too surprising for us, but things will come out more and more, and it's going to give everyone an opportunity, I'm going to say from now even through to the next year and a half, well into the 2024 elections. People will be making choices. They will be making extreme choices because they're tired of the extremist views and extremist policies. So anyway, but for us, we're just going to have to dig our heels in, hold on to our tenacity, and with the Sun and Mercury traveling with Cancer, that's very helpful, because Cancer is all about tenacity, perceiving what brings us towards more growth. And we have lost, that trine to the South Node. We lost that leg because, the Sun and Mercury move pretty quickly. But we still have a little bit left with this trine to Saturn. And remember that Saturn went retrograde June 17th. Saturn in Pisces here went retrograde. My program dropped off the little RX, but it made the font bigger. So wherever you see red numbers, degrees, those are planets that are retrograde, right? Only the numbers. The nodes don't matter when they're retrograde. It means absolutely nothing. So anyway, with Saturn at 7 degrees Pisces here, we're still in that 6-degree orb, from the South Node of wisdom that we've gone through, transformation that we've gone through. And now we still have this graceful place to really solidify our spiritual path. Saturn, when it went retrograde June 17th, and it's still going to last through all the way through to November 4th. So those of you that have any planets or hot points, as in the ascendant, IC, descendant, or midheaven, if you have any of those or any planets in mutable signs, so the mutable signs are Gemini. Here we go. I'll show you Gemini, Virgo, Sag, and of course Pisces here. If you have any planets or hot points in those signs, this will be I think you're going to feel it more deeply. But anyway, for all of us, it's a time to go inward. It's a time to check into what we're creating. We have to remember Saturn is the planet that holds this time-space continuum together on Earth, and it carries the foundations of our lives, basically, and it helps us to test things out and then to do our best to master our reality as we are literally, with every step, every breath, we are manifesting the sum total of all of our beliefs. So if you're confused at all about your life, all we ever have to do is to check into, shoot, what do I really believe about that? What are my attitudes? And you might have a mental belief that is based in truth, but then you'll have an emotional response that could be completely the opposite, and that therein lies the work. So, but I have this this quote stuck in me from years ago that came from Lisa de St. Croix. She's a tarot reader and artist. She created her own deck quite a while back. But anyway, I always remember it because it's really easy, and I think you guys can remember it too. She said, "As you believe, so shall you receive." So it's really easy because it rhymes, right? As you believe, so shall you receive. So anyway, Saturn here is, we have this trine to the south node until July 27th going on. And because Saturn's going backwards, Saturn's, retrograde. And the south node is moving a little bit, it's moving backwards too. So anyway, the orb, it stays there within that 6-degree orb until July 27th. And then that nodal axis is going to change on July 17th. So I'll keep talking more about that as we go. Yeah, and you can see it will hook up with Eris, and it will hook up with Chiron as it goes, because Chiron will keep moving forward. These three, Chiron, I don't know if it's considered an asteroid. I forget. I have to look that up. I always forget the name of what these are considered. Like Pluto, they changed it to trans-Pluto, I think. I don't know, whatever. All I always remember is Chiron has to do with our deepest wounding and our deepest gifts. When we work through the wounding, the gifts come through. So the gifts now are about courage. It's going to be quite some time before Eris moves into Taurus, and the node connected to Chiron, the north node connected to Chiron, will happen much before. And what's going to happen there is Chiron will absolutely oppose the south node over there, and that brings in that really strong confrontation with the past, and how well are we doing working through that wounding so that we can bring our gifts through. And our gifts will have everything to do with our courage and being present with ourselves and letting go of the need to be first, letting go of demands, letting go of abandonment issues. And the only way you do that is to never abandon yourself. Just love yourself through everything. Letting go of impulsiveness and grabbing hold of the other side of that, the other polarity of that, which will be Libra. And it's going to bring through relating to others in a deeper way, not people-pleasing type of energy, but more about you really want to be treated equally and you want to treat everyone else equally, and we damn well want justice. So we can see how that'll play out politically as well. We'll have an opportunity to let go of appearance values. We'll have opportunities to balance out everything in our lives the best we can, which is, a lifelong task. Keeping things simple, that speaks more to Saturn in Pisces. Saturn will help us to simplify because some things simply just won't work anymore, and some things will work if we make an adjustment. And yeah, so let's see what else as far as the backdrop. I think that's about it. I think now I can move forward into what is, what is just for this, this month and especially this week. So we can see that Venus here is still, connected with Mars. We've got a 4-degree, about 4.5-degree connection, conjunction. So Venus and Mars together has to do with Venus is like, you're trying to unify what you really want, basically. Mars motivates us and pushes us towards what we want. And in Leo, it's heart energy, it's creative energy, it's all about wanting to be seen and heard. And maybe some people don't care if they're understood or not. They just want, you know what I mean? So we have to be careful about people being pushy, or ourselves being pushy, or feeling like no one's seeing us. If we're feeling like we're not recognized, it might bring up some old wounding to work through, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's all about our self-expression, has everything to do with our self-confidence and our courage, most of all, as well as it sometimes rules children and sometimes rules the father. Saturn can also rule the father in our natal charts. So, but it's ruled by the sun. So just think about that brightness of the sun. And with all these trines over here, notice how Mars at 25 is exactly trine Eris. So we've got this fire trine going on here. So this brings in this absolute, and look at the exact degrees there. I didn't mean to do that. It just lined up that way. What I was looking for with this chart was, and it came in at 7:21 a.m. Pacific, was when Venus squares Uranus here. See how we've got the 21 to 46 minutes? But notice also the Mars trine over here to Eris. So this is feminine courage, receptive courage. It's been clocking. It's been tracking. It's been like, oh yeah, I saw that happen. I remember that. And who are you paying attention? Right? Things like that. So even though I tend to look at Virgo for tracking patterns, we've definitely got the tracking of patterns over lifetimes here. And so there may be echoes of the past that come up. And this will continue to proceed, especially with Chiron moving towards Eris. Women being seen as less than, are, less than and unequal, are just, it's going to, that issue, just think of probably, well, not in our lifetimes, but the prior one, you might remember everything to do with the suffragettes and what they did, all of their work. Prior to that, I think women just kind of gave up and they did what they had to do, because we're talking survival, right? In Aries and Taurus, we're talking survival. So those issues are up on the table again, but it's a whole new game nowadays. There are more of us and we can vote. But, if you want to vote Republican, go ahead, align with that party that wants to take away the woman's right to vote, woman's right to have choice over her reproductive system. Go ahead, see how where that puts you in on your soul journey, and what kind of karma can you imagine would be created by someone who wants to do that, who wants women to be like stock animals, right? With no say whatsoever. So that issue will heighten, and especially moving into the 2024 election, which is why I think no one in the GOP will win unless we don't get out and vote. The only way they can win is if we don't get out and vote en masse in the highest numbers ever. So, okay, let me keep going here. What is the most important here? You can see all these trines. So I just gave voice to all of these aspects here. Oh, I know what I want to talk about here. Venus square Uranus. remember, Venus is values, rules the second house. Venus rules Taurus, so we've got Jupiter in Taurus, also rules Libra. We had the Libra moon last week. So Venus, values. Uranus, change. Venus, unification. Uranus, awareness. So we've woken up to what our values are, because Venus rules Taurus. We've been working on that, and Jupiter has brought all that up. And there's no getting away from these tough decisions, which are really easy decisions for me, but for some people they will be tough decisions, because my dad always voted Republican, or my family's voted straight Republican for whatever. So are you going to break away from the herd, from the tribe? Are you going to be your own person, basically? I mean, especially women. We have every single woman in every incarnation has part of their life task as being to learn to think for themselves, be independent. And for every man, it's to work with your emotional body to not project emotional needs onto the woman in your life, in order to always grow together. That's how we bring through the amazing soul substance that can transform continually. And that's, the whole issue with Pluto squaring the nodes there. So what else? So Venus had joined that trine with Chiron on the 20th of last month, but it's still in orb so we have just the rest of this week to, once an opening has occurred, consciousness changes, it raises, and especially with Saturn in Pisces, and especially with Saturn in Pisces retrograde, we're all learning healthy boundaries. We are establishing and deepening our spiritual practices. We are more inclined to meditate, even if it should be about 20 minutes a day, but, I'm not going to should all of you guys, so even if it's only 5 minutes a day, or they're walking meditations, but man, there's nothing like letting go and dropping into who you truly are. And once you really get in there, you could stay there forever. You're just going to have to stop because duty calls in other areas of your life, right? Or duties call, I should say. So that's going on. And then the Mars square Uranus, that it's just about out of orb. I mean, it's complete on the 5th, but Venus's participation in this tension field with Uranus, this is going to last through the 13th. So it's in effect all this week and part of next week. So what else? Yeah, the full moon's coming in tomorrow. I'll show you that chart. That'll be next. Another thing I'm feeling like with this square, I don't know why I can't seem to get off of this here, the Mars-Venus square to Uranus. This is like, because we're talking with Venus, we're talking self-preservation, we're talking mine, my money, my awareness, my brains, things like that. And then, science and technology and things, all of those things are related to Uranus. So there can be something highly charged with this combination here in relationships and in moving forward with or without someone that you used to just be, very tight with. Things can shift quickly with Uranus in the mix. But it's also really creative energy, very powerful creative energy. And if you've got the passion to grab hold of it, if it's something that's for you, you'll have that passion. So whatever is coming up that is really, really grabbing your attention that you want to do, that's creative, go for it, because it could be that saving grace in your life that just changes everything. A complete paradigm shift can happen with that. So Yeah, okay, so let me just talk about the Sag moon because I think I've covered everything else. Um, oh, wait, also, I have to talk. Well, actually, I kind of did. Notice how Mars here is in this inconjunct to, and Venus will get there too, this inconjunct to Neptune. So that's pretty much what I just said about that creative source energy. Neptune in Pisces is super creative. I really, really hope that things are working well with that writer's strike because, man, do I miss. I mean, yeah, things always go sideways in the summer, because people take off and they go on trips. But I really miss, especially Stephen Colbert. But also, I love that little show, Young Sheldon. I miss that one. And I miss, it's not always funny, but I do miss SNL, right? Especially the Weekend Update. So I can't wait till that comes back together. But I think there are adjustments here because these two these two planets together in Leo, we are absolutely, when we're in Leo territory, we are talking entertainment. So we've got the entertainment industry, and then Neptune in Pisces holding space for everyone to appreciate it. Neptune rules gases, but it also, like even the oil coming out of the earth, but it also rules all types of film and media, and the way that when you see this glyph here, you can think of a lot of things. You can think of the ocean and depth, but you can also think of, with Neptune, you can think of the masses in our consciousness and how our consciousness can be raised always if we're like raising our hands up to the light and surrendering, basically. So and then with Pisces, Neptune does rule Pisces, and Pisces is everything connected to wherever we will devote ourselves to the most, whatever creativity that is. I mean, it's usually people say like music and art, but I tend to not judge what is creative and what isn't because I primarily see Neptune as source energy. And we still have that sextile going on there to Pluto for quite some time. So, yay. Thank goodness. Okay, so then let's see. With this inconjunct quincunx here, this would be an adjustment that's being made. So I know that they were saying the writer's strike was supposed to go on through August, but I'm wondering if maybe something's behind the scenes, because Neptune often hides and we can't see. Just think of like clouds, like the bright blue sky's up there, but we can't see it when it's cloudy. But maybe there's something moving forward, coming together, because Mars is really in this tight orb here, and I'm thinking that over this week especially, there can be quite some progress. Let's see, what else? I think that's it. I'll go to the moon now. So the moon's up here at this apex of the aspect of the architect. So the moon at this ripe degree of Sag, so the moon intuits, the moon responds. The moon, it's a luminary, of course, and it feels its way. So we're all going to be feeling our way through something. And it's also nurturing. It's also rules, our digestion. It's basically our feeling responses and the things that we do day to day, eating, things like that. It's related to our mothers, our home, and especially the mood of the public. And it is in this grand fire trine going on here, right? So I feel like it can be, I wouldn't say hot and heavy, I'm going to say hot and fast, right? It's like my son is famous, or not famous, but known for taking kids on at his fire station. He would always take kids, no matter which fire station he was at, and they moved him all over the place. He loved to take kids, and they come, because with the firefighters, if they're working, and many of them are, on Thanksgiving or Christmas, they cook a big, family meal and everybody gets to come. And he would love to take the kids on fire truck ride. And he'd always crack them up. He'd say, "Oh, we're coming in hot and heavy," or "We're coming in hot," something like that. And kids would always say, "We came in hot." I'm feeling like with this moon and Sag and this Leo energy here and the Aries energy over here, absolutely. There's something hot coming in all week long, I'm feeling. And the moon's kicking it off for today. And then with this aspect of the architect, here we have this sextile to the south node, so there's this opportunity again, to glean something from the past and transform it. Scorpio is so good at bringing through something in a whole new way. It's our sign that regenerates. It's ruled by Pluto, so it's always changing, and it's geared towards growth. No matter what betrayals we have to go through, no matter what crisis we may have to go through, no matter how intense life gets, we will all learn to trust ourselves more and more and more as we go. But we can get stuck in that energy. It can get stagnant if we're constantly fearing betrayal, if we're not trusting ourselves, if we're not trusting our guts, if we have a need for a false need, basically, it would be for intensity in order to feel. That's something that souls have to go through. Not in every lifetime, but often in some. And so then with this double trine here to the North Node and Eris, there's what I'm getting here is there's some intuitive knowing. So for us who are working on our past, there's some intuitive knowing as to the right direction to go in your life. And it's because of the wisdom in the past that you've transformed, and now you're really ready to move forward in a way that furthers your security, a way that brings more faith in yourself. And this combination between Sag and Taurus is definitely about believing in yourself. And so we can get stuck in the polarity of Taurus and Scorpio, and that's because they're fixed. It's a fixed polarity. But with that fiery moon coming in here, there's a way to release it. It's like think of this point up here as like being a lever, and it's like and it just shifts and then opens to bring you back home to whatever it is you're trying to bring into your life. Back home to what matters with that North Node in Taurus. So I think that's good for the weekly overview and for Sunday. So let me go ahead and move forward into Monday, where we have our Capricorn full moon coming in at 4:38 a.m. Pacific, which of course would be 7:38 Eastern, and you can adjust for your time zone. Now, the moon is always absolutely legally full when it's exactly opposite the sun. Of course, that's what brings in that fullness, that reflection. So the moon can sometimes be our ego. It can be sometimes. It is, I believe, in the natal chart, our egoic filter, the way that we're perceiving, and it shifts, it changes all the time. The moon changes. It makes its cycle in 28 days. So every 28 days we've made major changes. And by the time the moon becomes full, there's a reflection back, and there's the possibility of a breakthrough back to who you truly are. And then what's beautiful about this is that after the moon is legally full on Monday morning, we're still going to have an opposition to, for hours in a day. We're still going to have this opposition to Mercury, which brings through it picks up the messages. The breakthroughs come in, and then Mercury grabs hold of the messages and knows what to do with it. to further your growth, because Cancer primarily is about growing emotionally. It's to protect yourself. It's to, look at the past and see what worked and what didn't. It's to root yourself more deeply into who you truly are. The only way we can get in trouble with Cancer energy is if we're just wanting to be dependent all our lives and cared for, and we won't, stand up for ourselves, and we won't try to bring our independence in. And that's the reason it's square to Aries, because, Aries is like, I'm here. And then Taurus might be, I'm mine, I have my body. And then, and then in the third with Gemini, that experience can be like, well, oh yeah, I have a voice, I can talk and I can think and I can, communicate in all different ways. And then in Cancer, we're like, oh, I'm really feeling all of this, and what do I do with it? So with the moon coming through in Capricorn, we have that nice opportunity to slow down, to take self-responsibility, to control something in our lives that we've been trying to master. It's ruled by Saturn. The moon's ruled by Saturn for this full moon. And as all things Capricorn are, it's, it's hard work. You might have a mirror type of a relationship, or see something that has to do with narcissism, and maybe you've been wondering if this person in your life was narcissistic, or maybe you've been wondering how narcissistic are they. There will be signs to lead you on your way. Mercury will bring through those messages, and you'll know where you stand and what's going on. And the power struggles that narcissists bring in, because they love to fight. Narcissists, because they want to control everything, and fighting is part of that, and you don't matter to them. So get that straight, and then you'll know where to go. The only thing that matters to them is that you're in their life in order to manipulate and control you. That's what they're all about. So they'll act like you're everything, but you're everything for not the right reasons. So those issues may come up with this Capricorn full moon. Now, if you're fortunate, or if you've done the hard work, and it doesn't have to be in this lifetime, it could be that you've not been attracted to narcissists in this lifetime, and that would say that you've worked through it in other lifetimes. And if that's the case, this could, whether it's this lifetime or others, this could be a manifestation of your deepest emotional longings, which can be wonderful. So wherever 11 degrees shows up in your chart, whatever house that lands in, you may have some major fruition this full moon coming in Monday. And you may experience it on Saturday or Sunday. You may experience it all the way through to Wednesday. So that's a nice window there. And then also another thing to remember, whenever we have a new moon or a full moon, it doesn't matter which one, we're still going to, if it connects within 3 to 5 degrees of any hot point or planet in your chart. So if like let's say you have a full moon up here in your midheaven, and let's say your midheaven's at 15 and the moon comes in at 11, so the moon's transiting through your ninth, and then as it moves over this point here, this could bring something through in your the way you participate in life. Because the 10th house, it can be career, but if you're retired, it's still the way you participate in life. If it's on your ascendant, you could literally be magnetizing something really solid. Relationships over here, if that's the case, that you could bring in a solid relationship, or maybe you've been in a solid relationship and you decide to tie the knot or something like that, or maybe you've been dating and you decide to make it exclusive, things like that, or it could be business partnerships. So yeah. But anyway, more importantly, whatever house it is, that's the area of your life and you can look online, like once you know your chart and you know what house, just look online and say, what's the full moon, what meaning of full moon in whatever house. Or if you're one of my members of the lessons tier, the top tier, where I have all the tarot lessons, Kipper lessons, Lenormand lessons, and all kinds of spiritual stuff in there. I also have astrology lessons, and I take you deeply through the houses. So if you know your chart, and if you're one of my members at that level and I haven't done your astrology chart, just email me your data, and I'll email you back your chart, okay? Whether or not I've ever done your chart. If you're at that top tier, you get that. So hit me up. Okay, so what else with this full moon? Well, you know the backdrop already because I've explained that. It really is not making any other aspects. So you'll have to take everything into consideration that I said before, because that's still true, for the backdrop for the week. But also just that we have that opposition to Mercury. So the moon opposing Mercury will bring in the messages that come in from the outside. You might have been going through life recently, or maybe for quite some time. I have a client that does that, and she gets the best messages. I just love it. She looks for signs. She says she has an intention, and she says, okay, if I'm supposed to do this, she asks, the universe, asks spirit to, and she has a Native American ancestry, so she says, bring me a sign from the outside. And she'll, it can be a little bird feather that falls in front of her, or it can be somebody that says something, or it can be, she tends to get it, from animals and birds and things like that, but she'll take it from anywhere. And she doesn't have to have three, only one, Some people want 3 signs. Well, this could definitely bring through a sign. Now, you don't have to work it that way. I tend to just work it with intention. And then I go to my higher self and say, would this be good for the world or me together with the world? Otherwise, why do it? And so then doesn't matter about whether or not I make money at it. A lot of things I won't do because I get guidance that, no, there's enough crap out there. Let's don't do that. Let's save energy and products and things like that. But with the moon opposing Mercury, we're in that realm of messages sometimes coming through family members, messages that will help you grow and manifest are the themes. So whatever that is. But again, check it in with your higher self, because the ideas with the Uranus square, Mars and Venus, and then this opposition between the moon and the full moon and Mercury, all of that, messages will come through. Inspiration will come through with all of these other aspects. I can promise you that. So it's a really good time to meditate. It's a really good time to go for it. It's a really good time to fine-tune as well. And it will continue, that will continue to be the case, because as you can see, Mars will move forward. Well, Mercury, Venus, and Mars will be in the sign of Virgo by the end of the month. So that's a nice thing to remember. Yeah. And you can see Mars here is almost opposing Saturn. That'll come through later in the month too. So yeah, we'll be testing energy there, testing intentions and work. So okay, let me move forward. Let's go forward to Tuesday, July 4th, USA's Independence Day anniversary. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. You guys, I'm so sorry. I should have, with all of these charts, I was forgetting. It's been really quiet here. I haven't had firecrackers and stuff like that going off lately, like I usually do. Now watch, it'll happen all tonight. But this time of the year, whether it's legal or not, in your area, it's usually noisier and it's more challenging for doggies and, pets. It's not easy for them at all. And we're all, especially to my Canadian friends, I just keep sending so many prayers to clear out to tamp down the wildfire and to tamp down the smoke and and get the air quality better. And I know it's hitting us here in the USA too. And with all this fire, we do, here we go. Here's the theme right here. Fire sign here, and then safety here. Fire sign with Venus and Mars in Leo, and the square to Uranus in Taurus. It's like, well, but there are new inventions though in fire safety, and especially wildfire. So that has happened. Yeah. So anyway, 4th of July comes in. I clocked it at 9:45 a.m. Why did I do that? Oh, because of the moon up here. Yeah, I often forget what I did when I run the charts like the day before. So anyway, moon conjunct Pluto exactly here. Almost, I could have gone another. When I did another minute, it popped the moon over to the past Pluto. So just know that between Monday's full moon and Tuesday's moon conjunct Pluto, that's intense. Okay? That's intense. I expect news dumps. I expect blathering, bloviating, bag of hot air Trump to be bloviating on. I expect him to continue to hang himself with his own words. I expect more audio recordings to come through. And I'm also praying every day. Every day, I'm setting the intention for me to get out of my emotional reaction every time I hear someone say the word tape. Because here I'm coming from teaching aerobics in the 80s, where I took music off of vinyl, put it onto tape, like that whole procedure, and in the 80s, and then 90s came in, and that was still going on, and then I remember CDs, and then when was it? When it was somewhere in the probably when the iPod was invented. When did music go digital, you guys? I don't know. I'd have to look that up. But nobody is walking around with a friggin' tape recorder. None of these audio recordings that we're hearing of Trump's voice happened on a tape recording. Even in a studio, none of the, it would have to be a special kind of film that maybe, I can't remember the guy's name, the director. Oh my goodness. Oh, I can't remember his name. Anyway, I've lost it. So I'm just a, little disclosure here, self-disclosure. I keep going into reaction every time I see somebody on the news say tape, or a headline from all these prominent news sources, and they have tape in the title. Yeah. Anyway, I'm trying to let that go. That's my persnicketyness that doesn't need to be there. But I'm into specificity and detail, so you see the challenges that we all work through as we're moving through daily life. I bet there's a lot of you that can relate to what I'm speaking to. So the moon conjunct Pluto brings in a lot of powerful energy, a lot of powerful intuition. This can be a day for you guys where it's very, 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 you could wake up from dream time with this double sextile going on here to Neptune with some very profound guidance, because Pluto is always working to bring you into your power. And with the moon there, it's like I don't see anything separate, but we could speak to the soul body and the emotional body. I feel that they're the same, but there's a strengthening of that, those feelings and that knowing, that deep inner knowing. So there could be a lot of claircognizance going on, a lot of third chakra opening, a lot of feeling it in your bones, like you just know something and you don't know how you know, but you don't need explanation, you just know. And there you go. And then because of the square to the North Node in Taurus and Scorpio, there's that, that's a pretty psychic polarity going on there as well. So let's see, what else? For this day, you can see we still have that in conjunct. I don't need to go over that again. Basically, just that the moon is hitting Pluto and squaring those north and south nodes. So we're going to have greater awareness as to which way to go in our lives. With the sun in this semi-square here to Mars, actions will need to be taken in order to feel better about, we can't just think about things. So we can only think about things for so long, and if you don't take actions, it's just going to keep driving you nuts. So might as well get it over with. And Capricorns, with the moon in Capricorn, and especially for the last 2.5 days, it's been a time of wanting to get things done. So hopefully you'll feel complete by Tuesday, and 4th of July can be a day of celebration for you, whether or not, you're American or anything. You can celebrate with us. But, I don't know. Maybe we could do it without all the noise, and especially so late. Especially those of us who are north. I mean, it doesn't get dark until 10, and so the fireworks won't go off until 10, and I'll be wanting to go to sleep. Earplugs, right? Okay, so what else? Oh, I saw something that grabbed my attention. Oh, right here. Chiron. No, wait. It was a square. I thought let's see. Yeah, Eris involved with them. Oh, yeah. Eris involved with Pluto and the moon square. Yeah. So more courage to set boundaries, but be safe, please. Be safe. Chiron, I normally don't do the smaller, the weaker, I guess you could say, aspects. But with this Saturn here to Chiron, again, the actions needed to have healthy boundaries, to protect yourself. But, I do believe that our love is our real, it's our only true protection. So if you can always just come back to your self-love and then put your self-love out there for others in a way that, you can hold them dearly in your heart, then that just shifts the energy right there. But, that means also, too, that we, in our bodies, we have our human limitations. And so maybe, we have to say no for some reason or another, and never be afraid to say no, especially, here's the rule, when it's given from love, when it's given from your self-love, and which will also be the love for others too, because to say yes all the time is really not loving. For kids, it's not a good thing, and for people in our lives to just always say yes, well, if they really love you, they'll help you find your spine. So yeah. What else? Yeah, so action needed there in order to assert yourself in a way that is loving to you and others. Mercury. Oh, that's what it was. See how Mercury here is at 16 and it's squaring Chiron. So there's a lot of action here going on with Chiron. Right? So remember, again, with Chiron, it's about getting into your greatest gifts, your deeper gifts, but you have to go through all the wounding to get there. You have to go through and process through and let go of and change, transform the old to bring through the new. But Aries, Chiron and Aries is all about that new. So there you go. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on. With Wednesday, I clocked it at 2:45 a.m. July 5th, so that we could see where the moon right here at 10 degrees Aquarius. So just know that, between, of course, with that 29 degrees Capricorn, we know that within, minutes, the moon would have made it into Aquarius. So the rest of July 4th, that entire day is the moon in Aquarius, and that shifts the energy. Well, it's still cold, could be rigid energy. So the only way you can get in trouble with Aquarius is Aquarius is so good about being objective and honoring our uniqueness. And so I'm speaking to the Aquarius moon right now, and it is square Jupiter, that 10 degrees exactly. So it's good for honoring our uniqueness. And, those are wonderful traits, objectivity and uniqueness. And if we don't, the problem with Aquarius is that if we don't, well, we have to be careful not to disassociate from our own bodies and from our human experiences and our heart-to-heart connections, because that's what embodies its opposing sign of Leo. I always look at the signs in their polar opposites. So with the moon in Aquarius, it might be kind of like my way or the highway energy. I would not get in an argument with anyone today. I would not go knock on anyone's door and tell them to stop shooting their gun. I wouldn't remember that experience that happened. We are living in different times right now, and until we get through it, we have to, be very careful. So it's important to remember with the moon, especially as the moon goes around the zodiac, it helps us to evolve and we all evolve through our emotional bodies, right? And our emotional bodies are comprised of, in our bodies, literally, besides our psyche and our soul, our connective tissue. So with the moon moving through dry Capricorn, and now, they're both rigid signs, we're going to need to do a lot of stretching. We're going to need to be careful, especially when the moon's in Aquarius. Well, when it's in Capricorn, it's all about any of the bones, but also our knees. When it's in Aquarius, that's our calves and our shins and our ankles. So to be careful, because we have this inconjunct here coming through between the sun, and pretty soon it'll also be to Mercury. So yeah. Be careful about accidents in the home. Be careful about anyone who seems to not care about you, and they just want to tell you what they think is right? That kind of thing. Aquarius can be great for helping us to break unhealthy bonds of any type and bad habits. But on another note, when it comes to addictions, we really have to be careful with numbing out when it's in that sign. Aquarius can numb out, and so can Pisces. I mean, all the signs can, but especially Aquarius and Pisces. So, the moon's moving towards Pisces and moving towards Saturn, so that's why I'm talking about this now. And maybe for some people who have worked really hard while the moon was moving through Capricorn, by the time we get to Aquarius, they might feel like they want to just let go and detach and party. And then you're in that realm of crash and burn. So that's that's always a soul journey to go through. Yeah. So anyway, just know that when we numb out, it's only to numb out to not feel the pain, and maybe that can be a bridge to do the feeling work when we're not in survival anymore, and there's no need for desensitizing. And then I'll speak to the moon once it moves into Pisces. I'll talk about that a little bit more. But for today, for Wednesday, I would say that, it just might be a little bit challenging, especially if you stayed up late the night before because of 4th of July, or you were kept awake. It's going to be a good day for a nap, I can tell you that for sure, with these aspects going on. Mars square Jupiter. No, Mars square Venus. Wait, no, I'm sorry. Oh, that's right. It's not. Jupiter's not involved. It's Uranus. That square still, yeah, but it's out of. It's a separating orb. It's not applying, so it's not as strong. So that's good. So I'm just going to go ahead and move on. Let's just do that and see what Thursday looks like. So Thursday, I put it back to the normal time, July 6th, Thursday, 6 a.m. See how the moon's still in Aquarius here at 6 a.m., but by 9 p.m. tonight, it does hit Saturn. Now, moon conjunct Saturn, in any sign, doesn't matter what sign, it can bring in some serious type of energy, because remember, Saturn can bring in some challenges and some limitations and some restrictions, but it does help with delaying gratification, and in Pisces that might be a good sign, either that or we're learning some hard lessons if we partied too hardy the days before, because a lot of people take vacations during this time. And I know I've heard the news, awful news about all these people stranded in airports. That came through in a tarot reading. I was like, whoa. When I saw that in the news in the morning, I was like, whoa, that's surprising. Because there's so many possibilities with the daily tarot readings. But so there could be some serious repercussions if we're not careful. But we'll meet them. When the moon hits Saturn, we'll go, oh. But for those of you who are not indulging and not fighting and not using guns on 4th of July and not into making a lot of noise, I think this can be a very spiritual experience. And I say that especially because we also have right here, see how we have the Sun, Mercury? It's also going to sextile Uranus at 9 p.m. So that's really nice. So both of these aspects are happening at 9 p.m. tonight, even though I didn't run a separate chart, but I'll just tell you what that is. So any aspect between Mercury and Uranus can bring in a connection with the divine mind, especially when you have Mercury conjunct Uranus, but Uranus also rules astrology. Uranus rules, oh my goodness, so many things, satellites, all types of cyberspace, all types of lasers, anything that helps us with science and technology and breakthroughs. But because it's a sextile, it should be an opportunity to create some type of a breakthrough in your life, especially to grow, because Mercury's in Cancer and Uranus is in Taurus, which is really nice. So, and you can see, the sextile here, right? Right there's the 20 degrees, and so it's been cooking, but it's exact at 9 p.m. tonight. So, even yesterday we had this aspect here, this Mercury sextile Uranus. Did I talk about it? Did it show up in this chart? Let's see, hold on. No, it didn't show up yet. See, that's how fast Mercury moves. Yeah, wow. Okay, so also besides the fact that, this is all happening at 9, there's another aspect here that, see how Mercury is square Chiron? See how it's 20 degrees and 19, like that. So there's that tension field there of communications as to how to grow and get beyond any old wounding so that your gifts can come through in a brand new way. And that would have been exact last night, somewhere in there. And then this morning we can see that the moon here, even though I was focused into it connecting with Saturn, we can see that it's opposing Mars and Venus. And it's exactly, opposing early this morning. And then Venus will move in. Well, actually, it'll be the moon that moves in to clock this. Oh no, that would have happened already. The moon's at 27. So during the night, we would have had Venus opposite the moon, which would be good, for healing. That would be really good for healing during dream time. But this morning with Mars opposing the moon, this is active energy, and it's active heart energy. And in Aquarius, often, we want to get something done that will further our original ideas, further our, the direction in life that we're headed towards. Yeah, so and then also it might be that there's something that comes through on the news, because we have to be careful with that Aquarian energy when it gets into politics, because those are the ones, like, they're in their bigotry and their intolerance, and they don't care about treating other people humanely, and they like, it's hard. It can be racist. It can be racist. It's a sign of, at the worst, intellectual pride. And at the best, intellectual pride says, oh, I'm smarter than you, so I'm better than you. It's like, what? No. And there's all different forms of intellect. There's all different forms of brilliance and genius. So to think that if someone's coming from, cornering that market, they're sorely mistaken. So, yeah. But anyway, we could see something like that come out on the news. That's the only reason or you could have somebody in your life act like they know it all. It's the know-it-all energy. That's what it is. At the best, with Aquarius, it's beautiful as far as somebody else. The best you'll get from another Aquarian will be how they see your uniqueness. And they love that. And they're because they would be in their heart space of, Leo. And they would be emanating that core. It takes an evolved Leo and an evolved Aquarius to be in that space. But usually it's more like, look at me, and I'm the better one type of a thing. And so I think that's what we're going to see on, in politics. And if you have that type of a person in your life, that's when I just tend to take a deep breath and go, oh yeah, you're right, okay. And then I walk away. All right, let's move on. Friday, 6 a.m., the moon has crossed over Saturn, and it's still in Pisces, and she's moving her way towards Neptune. And so she's picked up something serious, and maybe there's been some serious devotion to your artistic, spiritual, creative path, and now you're moving towards the moon will be moving towards Neptune to give us some more inspiration. I love it. Oh, wait, you know what? Hold on. Oh, I didn't talk about that. Hold on, was it here? No, that's right. I remember seeing it, I flashed on it, and then I forgot about it when I started paying attention to my notes. See this aspect of, right here, this sextile here, and then the two quincunxes? They are pointed at Mars. This is, I should have highlighted it in. It's finger of fate. It's a yod, Y-O-D. And so coming from Pluto to Neptune, this is that powerful creative force, and then it's pointing to Mars to give you direction. So if you're connected to your heart and you're moving with your love through your life, there's a finger of fate coming through early in the morning on Thursday. Starts Thursday morning. Might have started, wait, hold on, 27:40, 27. Yeah, no, it is about right in that 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern. It's really good for moving forward to get where you want to be. And it's still here on Friday, right here, okay? Even though Mars is at 28. What else with the moon, aspects to the moon bring in? We do have a little semi-square here. This requires action. It's like having an itch and you have to scratch it. To feel emotionally clear and in your power, there's action that needs to be taken. The semi-square coming here, or sesqui-square here, I'm sorry, coming from Saturn to Mercury can be kind of stubborn. So if you have any relationship in your life where they're playing the victim and they want you to take care of them, don't buy into that, because that could definitely be part of that equation there. What else with the moon? There's a sextile to Jupiter. Lovely, look at that. Moon in Pisces. Ooh, both of these. This aspect here is really good for artists and musicians and any creative project that you're working on. And that could literally just be, it's too hot to go outside. I'm going to crank up the air and clean my closets. Could be something like that. Or I'm going to turn up the fans and decide not to vacuum, watch some movies because it's too darn hot to do anything else. Could be that. And also, we can see coming off of Neptune, there is a little semi-square there coming to Jupiter as well. So Friday's a good day off if you can get it. Okay, I'm going to move forward to Saturday. And that brings in, I clocked it at 7 a.m. to bring through, you can see we still have this yod happening, but now the moon is conjunct Neptune, and that dreamy energy. Yeah, if you can have Friday and Saturday off to work on your creative projects, or if you're a working artist of any type, graphic arts, whatever medium you use, or anything to do with therapy, anything to do with any compassionate work, especially anything that helps immigration or refugees, things like that. Pisces is really, really beautiful energy when it comes to immersing ourselves into any pursuit that makes us feel better, and we feel better because we're helping others, right? It's our connection with everything. But also, like I was saying with Aquarius, we have to be careful about going beyond the limits of our bodies, and that's especially true the older we get. We get more sensitive, usually. So, and we are more sensitive to medications no matter what when we get older, whether or not you're evolved or not. But this whole aspect, especially with Saturn, with the moon moving up to Saturn, and then crossing over Saturn, and then the moon cooking its way towards, or I should say floating her way in Pisces towards Neptune. This is a very, very sensitive transit. And that is part of now with the moon there in this, combined with Neptune in this configuration here with this yod. And that is connected to Mars. So that movement forward in your spiritual pursuits. And then also with Neptune is also connected there to Mars. Or Mars, it's actually Mars that finally connected to Neptune as it was moving. And Venus is in the equation now, moving into that. So beautiful. That's really fantastic. So this Mars and Venus now, by the end of the week, kind of puts I don't want to say a period on the week. I want to say more like somebody lit, maybe you've been building a nice fire that maybe you were going to do a fire circle or something like that. Although be careful. I mean, we've got wildfires out there. Yeah. Maybe I need to find it. What's a better... Maybe this will light the candle, light the flame in your heart to really, really give yourself that creative space to bring in the powerful soul that you are. I think that's the better way to say it. And yeah, with the air quality that we're all going through right now, I think it besides the 4th of July here, it's might be more of an indoor week than we want it to be, and that's okay. And that's especially true anytime the sun's in Cancer. It's it's really a time of, planting gardens, nurturing our family, nurturing our home, our sacred space at home. And, it kicks off the summer. We're getting things ready for the real heat that we're going to go through the next couple of months. So, yeah. Cooking, that's a better, cooking. We're cooking, Cancer. And this is cooking with heart energy. That's it. Okay, I'm done. Thanks, you guys. Take good care. Bye.